Sup, Nerdmigos? I'm the Jive talking nerd, John Norgrove, and this is Nerd Jive. So, today's news, a little short, a little good though, real technical. Alright, so first up is fusion technology. In fact, the best fusion ever. So for the uninitiated, nuclear fusion is essentially what our star does right now. Alright, so it fuses hydrogen atoms into heavier elements and in the process of doing so, releases a crap ton of energy. It is incredibly efficient. There's not a harmful byproduct. It's the future of power generation and technology, and that's obviously why we're looking into it. All right. But to fuse hydrogen atoms, it requires two things: an incredible amount of heat and an incredible amount of pressure. And we can sort of do both. We get that heat by using a plasma, by producing plasma out of that hydrogen through acceleration, and then we get our pressure through magnetic confinement. And this is, for now, I'm going to be talking about the traditional tokamak style fusion reactor. There are some pretty interesting it's almost like a tokamak but twisted, and that's supposed to help with the with confinement of the plasma. And there are these cube reactors that use lasers and like a pulsing, specifically tuned magnetic fields to generate your pressure. But most people speak of the tokamak style reactors. They're the easier ones. But so the side effect of doing this is that you get really, really high energy particles as sort of like as like the bad waste material. Now, these high energy particles are specifically high energy electrons. Incredibly high energy electrons. All right, now scientists have recently figured out a way to deal with these runaway high energy electrons. These high energy electrons are incredibly destructive. Not only can they damage the system as a whole, or at least small parts of the system, but theoretically, if we were to lose confinement on these high energy electrons enough, it could destroy the entire reactor. And these reactors are incredibly complex, incredibly advanced. It's not put these two things together, tokamak reactor. There's a lot of science and technology and perfection that's involved in these, and so they're very easy to destroy. This high energy electron, they can do that. Now, scientists have found a way of dealing with this, essentially by injecting heavy ions into the reactor during the reaction. So the ones that they've been looking at are either argon or neon, all right, in the form of either a gas or pelletized solid argon or neon, and essentially injecting that in. And the reason why is that these high energy electrons have a lot of their energy is in the form of velocity primarily, right? They're obviously a high energy state, but it's a lot of velocity. So what they found is that if you inject argon or neon, which is entirely non-reactive, into the system, what you can do is the electrons will hit these non-reactive particles and slow down. And slowing them down bleeds off enough energy that is no longer damaging, and we can control it with our standard magnetic confinement technology, which is amazing. So there is a simplified explanation, a little bit more in depth, of what I just said. It's a Wired article. I have it linked below. And then I also have linked the Journal of Applied Physics, the actual paper that is presenting this, coming up with this, whatever, linked below as well, so you can read the paper. I haven't had a chance to. I would like to read the paper in the long run. I really love reading physics papers, but I really haven't had the opportunity to today. Obviously, it's busy and everything's running late today. Okay, so fusion reactors, we're getting one step closer. There's a lot of other things, but it's little baby steps because it's the future, truly. So that's good. So next up is lensless, lensless cameras. So we all love our tiny, thin cell phones. But the one thing that we really kind of can't shrink down is your camera. In fact, I have a iPhone 7 Plus. The camera bumps out from the shell. And you kind of can't fix that. A lot of people have tried. They can't do it. Now, researchers at Caltech have come up with a new camera sensor that doesn't utilize lenses at all. All right, so this chip is an optical phased array, and it uses tiny calculated time delays in the way that it receives the information to act as the lens. All right, so these phased optical arrays are essentially based on the same kind of technology that's used for phased communication arrays, but backwards. So what we can do is you can focus a communication beam, all right, a beam of communication based on how you phase the energy, how you interact with the energy that's being outputted, and it comes out and it'll tighten up. It's essentially like making a laser, right? So what we're doing that is backwards. Instead of transmitting phased light, we're receiving the light and then phasing it through these infinitesimal time delays, so that way the sensor can detect depth and difference. All right, so these tiny calculations in time delay are a quadrillionth of a second delays, and at the same time, this allows the chip to change its focal length. So it's not, we can build this chip, it's focused. You know, we got one f-stop, one focal length, whatever. All right. The lead at Caltech in charge of this, Professor Ali Hajimiri, Ali Hajimiri, I'm not good with foreign names, I'm sorry. If you know how to say it, spell it phonetically below for me. All right, but he says it can switch from a fish eye to a telephoto lens instantaneously with just the simple adjustment in the way the array receives light. So if they change the phase, they warp the calculation, they manipulate the calculation, you can change the focal length and the way that it receives light, which is awesome. It's absolutely incredible technology. So the chip is currently, however, an 8x8 grid made up with 64 sensors. So it's like hyper low resolution. But they're looking at scaling it up and increasing its sensitivity, which means not only having a larger grid, which means more pieces, but also having more sensors involved in these pieces, refining the mathematics in order to make a higher quality sensor, so that way we can do this. This would allow phones to thin themselves incredibly, right? And so this is pretty interesting news, and not just for like making your cell phone thinner or whatever, but if we could use these phased arrays as opposed to glass lenses, you no longer have to worry about cleaning a lens. You no longer have to worry about I gotta buy this lens, and then I gotta buy this next lens, and then I gotta buy this next lens. Theoretically, if they could get this technology up to a level of a DSLR, you would have a DSLR camera that's like this, the size of a cell phone, but I can take wide angle lenses, or I can take short focal length, wide field shots, or I can take telephoto shots, all with one camera, without replacing lenses, without buying new lenses, without it being this big bulky thing that I'm shooting on now. It has pretty profound ramifications if they're able to make this technology work. So best of luck to Caltech. It's absolutely fantastic. I have not only the Caltech article linked below, as well as, but also in the Engadget article linked below. It explains everything a little bit more in detail. So next up is big-ass 3D printers. So a new company has recently emerged in the industry in the field of industrial 3D printing, all right, and it's called GE Additive. So it's obviously a GE company. So GE Additive has recently built the world's largest laser 3D printer, and it can print in metal in a 1 cubic meter space, so 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot space, which is a pretty big space for this. All right, the printer fuses layers of fine metal powder using a high energy laser. Now, they had an alpha of this technology that they quantified as a 2D printer. So it had the 3 foot by 3 foot spacing, but it only printed a couple inches deep as a test. The test worked, so they now they're building a model to add 3 feet of depth to it also. All right. This is, however, not brand new technology. This is vetted, everybody knows it works kind of technology. They currently use this same technology for metal printing to produce fuel nozzles for jet engines. These fuel nozzles, these 3D metal printed fuel nozzles for jet engines, are currently being used in Airbuses and in Boeing jets, like jet engines, which is amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. All right, so not only is this a vetted technology and does it work and can they do this, all right, but they expect to be able to, by the end of this year, at the end of 2017, have their beta model, a working model. They expect by the end of 2018 to have industry level purchasable models for other companies, right? And it seems like, well, that doesn't really affect us very much, but what it would mean is that weird little metal part in your car that's being currently milled on a machine would be able to be printed. It's not load bearing. It's not this profound thing, but it's this little part. When you can 3D print it, it's faster. It's more accurate. All right. And they're able to make it cheaper. And that's the point. 3D printing not only makes production more accurate and faster, but it can also potentially make it cheaper. And GE is doing this with a subsidiary company, GE Additives. And this is absolutely fantastic. This is the future, right? When we go to Mars, everything's going to be 3D printed. It's easier. When we go to the moon, when we start advancing as a species, that's where we're going to go with it. All right. So the last bit of news I wanted to talk about, like news, all right, is Star Trek Discovery news. And I'm just going to make this really quick. So, okay, yesterday, we were given a look at the captain of the USS Discovery, which is Captain Lorca, which is played by Jason Isaacs in his fancy new uniform. It looks dope. But that really kind of wasn't great news, so I didn't want to talk about that. And there wasn't a lot of news yesterday, and I was being lazy, so I didn't want to do anything that was hot. Today, we were given a first look at the USS Shinzo's transporter room, which is the ugliest thing ever. I don't like it. It looks like it's got like laser... Like it looks like you're standing in front of some kind of like weird laser death contraption. I don't like the way it looks. Now, obviously CBS knows this because following this announcement, they were also like, well, the Discovery is a totally new ship and the Shinzo's old tech, so the Discovery's transporter room is going to look completely different. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, this represents CBS not understanding what fans want, not understanding what they're doing. Oh, we're going to introduce a new species and we're going to introduce all this new technology, and the Shinzo is old tech, but it still looks like Abrams Universe fancy, which looks more fancy than the Next Generation, even though this is in Prime Universe. I really, really want this show to succeed so much. I'm such a big Trekkie and I want this. And every time they do something, I'm like 50-50. All right, well, maybe this is still going to be shit. So let's, fingers crossed, you know what I mean? So the last thing that I wanted to talk about, last couple of things I wanted to talk about at least, were first up, this is the 22nd. The summer Steam sale just started today, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So get your wallet out, sit down in front of your computer, spend that goddamn money. I plan on spending at least more than I want to. So the summer Steam sale just started. Once I buy some games, I'll let you guys know in my next video, probably Monday's video, like, hey, I bought these 5 games, or hopefully it's just 5 and not, I bought these 12 games. But I'll give you guys a rundown of the games that I play. I'm real big in the indie games. I like stuff like FTL is like one of the greatest games of all time. But I like Doom and you know, Fallout 5 and all this kind of stuff. So I'm pretty all over the place when it comes to games. So I'll let you guys know what's going on with that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, so Nerdist, the YouTube channel, produced a video. It's called, if I can find it, blee, 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 blee. There it is. Okay, so Nerdist has a series called Because Science with Kyle Hill. I absolutely love this. He delves super deep. They're super interesting. He can writes on like a glass board, but then he can do it with both hands, and it's crazy. Like, how do you like in this video, the one that I'm talking about, the most recent one, which is how every xenomorph fits within the alien universe, right? He's doing it like this, drawing the thing. It's insane. The guy's wicked smart, and it's super entertaining. But right, so this is episode 143 of Because Science with Kyle Hill, how every xenomorph fits with every alien film. It is absolutely amazing. Watch it. Holy shit, it's amazing. It's so much fun. I absolutely love it. So I had to shout that out today because it's too good. I enjoyed the heck out of it earlier today when I watched it. The guy's a fucking genius. But so all right, I've done my shout out for the day. If you guys enjoyed this video, like it, comment below. If you have any questions, if you have ideas, oh hey, I want you to talk about something like that. Let me know. Right, I want to kind of make this a bit more of a community and a bit more communication. I know we're still real small and real young, but let me know what you all think. Let me know what you guys are talking about, what you want me to talk about, that kind of thing. So comment below, share this shit on your social media, put it on the Twitters, put it on the YouTubes, put it on the Facebooks. I don't know, Instagram. I fucking hate social media with a goddamn passion, but you know, it's the future, so we have to do it. But yeah, share this stuff. And subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you got buddies who might be interested in this stuff, let them know what's going on. Have them watch a couple of videos. Have those motherfuckers subscribe. Help me, help you, help me. If that makes sense. Because I'm not 100% right now. But either way, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Nerd Jive. Stay nerdy, guys.